everybody. Welcome to day 23. Wow, we are really rolling. Today 23 is all about advice. In my 49, soon to be 50 years, I can't tell you how many times I've reached out to the wrong people for advice. We have a tendency to get advice from those that are close to us, not the ones that we actually should be talking to. So, what I decided to do is I decided to Google the definition of advice. It is nothing more than the guidance or recommendation offered in regard to prudent future action. It is someone basically telling us what we should or should not do for a future act or a particular situation in the near future. Right? Because when you're seeking out advice, you're actually seeking out advice from someone because of something that did not happen yet, something that you're anticipating to doing, or a situation that has come up and you're looking to do something about it. What if, when you were being brought up by whomever you were being brought up by, what if that person told you, if you ever need advice from someone, only get it from an expert? Advice is supposed to be given by someone that is an expert in that which you seek knowledge of. See, whenever we're in a particular situation where we're a little confused about something, we have this tendency to just go straight to a friend. You have to understand something about seeking advice from a friend. In most cases, I'm not going to say all, but in most cases, what friends do, friends are supporters. So if they feel that you're gearing, even though you may be going to them for advice, most of the time, they're going to be a supporter of whatever direction you're going into. They're not going to be the ones that, some will say, look, I really, but are you really taking it serious? If someone says to you, hey, don't do X, Y, Z, to you, you're still questioning whether that advice is still valid or whatever. They're just friends and this and that and the other. But what if you were faced with a question and you needed advice on and you only went to an expert? Advice is always to be given to you by an expert. It is never meant to be duplicated. It is nothing more than a mere template of possible follow. I give you some examples of how advice sometimes does not work in your favor. Have you ever seen a situation where you let's just take weight loss. What weight loss works for some does not always work for others. And then people get frustrated because it didn't work for them, but it worked for this person and so forth. Advice is something that we live most of our lives through, and we get it from the wrong person. We have a tendency to get relationship advice from the single friends. We get money advice from people that don't have any money. We get job advice from people that either don't have a job or that are in jobs that are that beneath which you're trying to achieve. Think about everything in your life that you've requested advice from and who you were asking that advice about. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with going to friends and asking friends' opinion. But advice is guidance. Advice is telling you whether the door to which you are approaching is either an exit or an entrance. It is advice. It is something that is to be given to you by an expert. Someone, and when I say expert, let me explain what I mean by expert. When I say expert, I mean expert as if someone that has successfully achieved that which you need advice about. So let's take relationships and so forth. Yeah, you might have some friends that have been in successful relationships, but how about you talk to those couples that have been married 20 years, 30 years, how they do it, what did they do? And again, it's just nothing more than guidance. It's just information that maybe you can look within yourself. The same goes for money. And I'm going to tell you something about money. Money advice doesn't always mean you got to find the richest person to get the advice from. Money advice should come from the person that is living basically a pretty cool life with no money worries. Not super flashy, don't need a whole bunch of stuff but got money in the bank, is traveling. Seek out those that are traveling. Maybe got some investments, seem to be doing well. You don't see any posts about them complaining about much. These are the people that you want to seek out. Don't get me wrong. Probably the rich is probably a really, really good place to start when you want advice about money. But here's the thing. How attainable is a rich person to you? And then what is your definition of rich? I mean, you have to define that too. And then when it comes to careers, don't talk to your immediate people. Go to your employer if you like the company to which you work for. Find a mentor. Talk to people that are in departments and things that you would like to go into. See if you can mentor with them and really find out what those things are about. And then that's who you take advice from. But advice is something that most of our lives we go to the wrong people for, point blank. We're always going to be faced with questions of what we should and shouldn't do, how we should do it, and so forth. We don't always have all of the knowledge for that. But in a lot of cases, we go to the wrong people for it. I cannot tell you, it has literally taken me 49 years to realize, well, maybe not 49 years, but it's taken me quite a few years to realize that, hey, I really need to get advice from the right people. And you might even hear this a lot too. You may have seek out a stranger or someone's for advice, and then you'll hear your friend say, why didn't you ask me? And I'm going to tell you how you respond to that. Just simply say to them, hey, look, I just really wanted to get advice from someone I didn't know that is going to provide me biased information and is an expert. Like, I've had a lot of people reach out to me about podcasting, because to them, I'm successful. To me, I want to take it to a whole nother level because I am now researching those that are taking it to a whole nother level. Like, for instance, I would love to sit down and talk to Joe Budden. Joe Budden has an amazing, successful podcast. I would like to know how he went from a person that just basically names his episodes a number and he talks about the stuff he taught. Now, maybe it has a lot to do with the fact that he's who he is and the circles in which he goes. But there's nothing saying that you can't be part of those circles and you have to talk to people. But you have to do your research and make sure you have all the answers you need. I'll tell you something else. If you want to become an expert at anything, you have to read a minimum of 10 books on that subject. Reading a minimum of 10 books on the subject that you're seeking advice about actually makes you an expert. So it's make sure you look within yourself first before you seek out advice from other people, and seeking advice from people that don't know what it is you're trying to do. And not to put anyone down, but you have to understand something. Give you a perfect good example. If you are a person that wants to attend college, it's probably best that you talk to people that have already attended college. If you're considering going to grad school, it's best that you talk to people that have already gone through the process and so forth. Your PhD, talk to the people that have done it, and what advice they have for you. Because there are certain things that I know about my PhD that probably, if I would have done those things, my process would have been a lot easier. So these are the people you want to talk to. Because you have to understand, if you go to friends and constituents that have not achieved what it is you're trying to do, the worst thing you could do is take their advice. And then don't get mad when it doesn't turn out the way you want because you seeked advice from someone that was not an expert. I'm going to tell you again, advice is to be taken from an expert. Someone that has succeeded in that which you seek advice about. And there is nothing wrong with having conversations with family members and friends, your husbands, girlfriends, wives, or whatever. But make sure they understand that you're not trying to offend them by saying the reason I didn't ask you. Just explain to them the reason why you were not asked is because you seek out advice from an expert because you want to be successful in whatever it is you're trying to achieve. So just like anything, just I'm asking you from this day forward, I always try to give you a little homework and so forth. I want you to also do another sticky for me. I want to make sure you get a sticky and write on there, advice is to only be taken from an expert. And it's your job to find those experts in whatever it is you are trying to achieve. Seek out only an expert. I mean, there's nothing wrong with asking people or friends or so forth, but only seek your information from an expert. I don't know if I could consider myself an expert on podcast. I'm not really an expert on podcasts. I just know how to do it, how to make it better, but I think it's cool that people have reached out to me and consider me to be successful in the podcasting arena. It's a lot more work to do, but we'll get there. But anyway, guys, so that's your homework for today, day 23. Only seek advice from an expert. That is it. All right, guys, on the day 24, we almost are at our halfway mark. I cannot believe it. All right, you guys,